God blimey, 10 o'clock news. Hello there, in this video I'm going to tell you how much tax a YouTuber pays. People had asked me, how much tax do you pay? How do you pay tax? So my channel's got about 63,000 subscribers. I get about 2 million views a year, give or take a few 100,000. And I've made videos in the past showing exactly how much money I make from my YouTube channel and the different sources of those incomes. I will leave a link to the most recent video down below. But in this video, I'm specifically going to focus on tax. I'm going to show you the things I have to put together. I suppose, and most interestingly, I'm actually going to show you exactly how much tax I pay. Okay, so the first thing is that, well, originally I didn't actually pay tax. It's not that I evaded it, I just didn't really know that I was supposed to pay it, and I have made a video on this, which I shall leave a link to down below as well. Essentially, to cut a long story short, a lot of people say, oh, you don't have to pay tax on a little bit of income, a little bit of YouTube income is all right, you've got an allowance. I think there is some sort of weird allowance, but you need to check with an accountant, because I approached an accountant when my YouTube income started to ramp up, and they basically said to me, you were definitely supposed to pay tax. And so I had to retrospectively go back and create tax returns for those previous years and pay the tax that I owed, which was the sum total actually of about £400 across 3 or 4 years. I did all this in what's called an amnesty, which meant that I could declare this stuff without getting fined, because normally if you evade tax, you get quite seriously in trouble for it. So anyway, what do? Well, I've got these folders, as you can see here on my Mac, and each one is a tax year. So 2012 to 13, 2013 to 14. Now, I don't know if it's the same in other countries, but here in the UK, the tax year isn't actually January the 1st to December the 31st. It's actually April the 6th to April the 5th of next year. Your tax burden is based on the payments and expenses that were incurred during those dates. And that doesn't include payments that are owing to you. So perhaps you've earned 10 grand in a month on YouTube. Well, until they actually pay it to you, you haven't actually received it and you don't pay tax on it. Okay. And with a lot of payments and things, you can sometimes defer payments until they go over a certain threshold. So you can be a little bit creative and kind of defer payments until after the tax year so that you pay less tax that year. Does that make sense? Well, who cares really? Anyway, let's get on with it. So 2012-13, you can see I've got folders for expenses and folders for payments. But this is boring, these old years, because I didn't really earn much then. Let's concentrate on my, well, I think my biggest YouTube year to date, which was 2019 to 2020. So I've got a chartered accountant. This is somebody who's qualified to put tax returns together and deal with tax affairs. I think it's relatively straightforward to submit your own tax return. You just upload stuff online and it automatically calculates it and you pay it. But I decide to go through a chartered accountant to kind of protect myself a little bit. Somebody to look over what I've done, make sure I haven't made any stupid mistakes. And also, my understanding is it kind of looks good from an HMRC, the people who actually, you know, take the tax. Looks good from their perspective because it means you're not trying to hide anything, because a chartered accountant isn't going to risk their career and their qualifications in order to save you a few quid. So I've got a letter from them asking to submit my details for this particular tax year. So your tax return actually is due to be submitted by the 31st of January. It might be different for certain people in different situations, but the 31st of January each year. And then your payment is due by the end of the 31st of January each year as well. She wants my expenses, which is basically the things I spend that are relevant to my self-employed income, because I should say I have got a full-time PAYE job as well, where the majority of my salary comes from. The payments that I've received. She also wants to know the interest that I've earned in my bank accounts. Now, I'm not going to show you that. It's not a huge amount. Interest rates are very low at the moment, so it's not a lot of money, but it's got all my bank account numbers in. Not the kind of thing, as Atomic Shrimp would say, that you want to give out to people you don't know on the internet. Let me go through these. So let's start with my expenses, because that's quite interesting. People often ask me, what are the kind of expenses that you can claim for? So actually, turns out I don't actually claim for that much, because to be honest, sitting here with my laptop, filming videos, uploading them, it's not really that, there aren't that many outgoings. I don't think this particular year includes these things, but you know, my Mac laptop, my mobile phone, these are things that are actually claimable. But you only claim for the percentage of use in your self-employment. So obviously my laptop is mostly self-employment. Say it's 50-50. 50% of the use is self-employed and 50% is just my leisure time. Same with my mobile phone, although in actual fact I think in future I'll probably charge 100% or 90% or something for my mobile phone, because now I use it as my camera. Anything I buy in the course of my self-employment. Some people maybe take liberties. Alan Partridge, there's one episode where he gets inspected by tax officials. He's got a receipt for a cinema ticket to see Shrek or something, and he says it was like a business meeting. Then he's got a receipt for a new pair of shoes, and they ask him, well, how are these shoes related to your business? And he said, well, I couldn't go to the cinema without any shoes on. People take the mickey a little bit, but I don't. I mean, to be honest, there's so little here, as you can see. So what have we got? We've got AmDirect Invoice. I have a website, believe it or not. This is essentially set up for my Amazon geo-targeting redirection. So when you click on an Amazon link in one of my YouTube video descriptions, this website has some code on it that I wrote that redirects you to the correct Amazon store. So if you live in America, Amazon.com. Apple membership. I have some iPhone apps in the App Store. I have to pay 80 quid a year to Apple to be able to keep my apps in the store. Bubble wrap, because I've sent the odd thing to some subscribers, so I need a bubble wrap for that. An extension cable to allow me to plug my Mac in, depending on where I am in the house. You know, so they're kind of practical things. MacBook power adapter, self-explanatory. Another power adapter, because you can never have too many. Scotch tape, again, a packing, parcely thing. Speaker and TV. So these, you know, people might say this is a little bit odd, but basically I do have a television that I use as a computer screen. So I can claim at least a proportion of that. You can actually see it can be quite beneficial to be self-employed, because you can buy things and claim the tax back off them. But of course, you have to use them in the course of your business. Finally here, we've got giffgaff. So giffgaff is my mobile phone provider, and I can claim, again, a proportion of my monthly mobile phone bill because I use my mobile phone in the course of my work. So these are my expenses. I have actually transcribed these into an Excel spreadsheet, which I can load up here now. They're all listed in here with the dates that the expenses were incurred, and if I double click on it, we should be able to total these up. Now it's worth saying that these are just the raw prices. These aren't the prices corrected by my accountant. She'll send me an email and say what proportion of usage is business use for your television or whatever. So it's not as if, you know, I actually claim all of this. You can see I've got cost and cost in pounds in case I've ever bought anything from America. The total here is £1,518 for expenses before they've been corrected. What else we got here? Income and expenditure. I'll show you this at the end. This is a summary of the tax. Interest, again, this is just a list of my bank accounts and the amount of interest I've earned, because if you earn more than a certain amount of interest, I think it's something like 1,000 quid, you have to pay income tax on it. P60, this is actually nothing to do with self-employment. This is the yearly tax summary for my day job. Now, I'm not going to show you that, but what I will tell you is that my total income is less than £50,000. And that's evident from when I tell you how much tax I paid. Because if you earn more than £50,000 here in the UK, you pay a higher rate of tax on everything over 50k. So This is a common misunderstanding actually here in the UK. People think that if you earn more than £50,000, you pay 40% tax on everything you earn. That's not true. If you earn £51,000, you pay 40% tax on that extra £1,000. Quite a lot, I have to say. So I've revealed the total amount of money I've earned from YouTube in the past, and bloody hell, this is wrong. Okay, let me just... eBay has sent you £11,096. No, I think it's meant to be £110.96. Just trust me. And actually, my most successful video on this channel is the amount of money that I earned in this particular year. So you can go and see that in more detail if you want a breakdown of exactly my sources of income. But we've got mainly affiliate payments from Amazon, AliExpress, eBay, CJ Affiliates, which is an Apple Mac sort of hardware website. We've also got Patreon, because I've got very generous Patreons. Things like I was paid to do a radio jingle by a nice guy, get TubeBuddy referral payments, and in fact I might leave a link to TubeBuddy down below, because that's a really cool tool if you own a YouTube channel for suggesting YouTube keywords, making thumbnails and things. It's just a really useful tool if you own a YouTube channel, let's put it like that. There's loads of different things here, and I've again transferred these into a spreadsheet, which I shall show you now. Here they are all listed with their dates. Scroll down to the bottom, and the total for this tax year was £12,298. Okay, so I send both of these spreadsheets to my accountant. She does the jiggery pokery of adjusting the proportion for certain expenses. She adds on her own cost. I think she costs about £250 to do this. So I don't pay tax on that £250. She uses my tax code, which is a UK sort of tax-free allowance code that's about £12,000. I think something like 60 quid is added to it for working from home. So you pay less tax on 60 quid or something. How generous. I'll show you my income and expenditure. This is what she's generated. Okay. I might blank out some of these details. In the year we've just been looking at, my total income was nearly £12,300. There's a load of expenses, which, as you can see, the total is £1,058. That's actually lower by quite a way than what I had in my expenses spreadsheet. Yes, I could spend more I could renew my laptop every 6 months or something to pay less tax. But I'd have less money because I'd still have to fork out thousands of pounds to get a laptop. You only save the tax, you don't save the actual price of the laptop. So £11,241 is my total taxable income. So how much tax, to finally get to the point, the end of this video, how much tax do I pay on that money? Well, I've got another thing here called tax return for approval. And again, I'm going to have to be careful what I show you in this document. I calculate that you have a total tax liability for 2019-2020 of £2,643.61. There you go. That's how much tax I had to pay for that financial year. But it gets more complicated than that. Because when you owe more than £1,000 in tax, you have to pay on account. And what that means is you actually have to pay 6 months in advance based on your previous year's tax burden. So actually, I paid some of this bill already, but it also meant that my tax burden for the following year was higher as well. So the total amount I had to pay in January the 31st, 2021 was £2,650.91. There you go. That's how much I have to pay. Now, obviously, if my income goes down the following year, which it did slightly, I may have potentially overpaid and be due a tax refund. Who knows? Wouldn't that be nice? This is the way I do it at the moment. I send it all off to an accountant. I believe it's all changing. Tax is going digital. So what that essentially means is that instead of doing it like this, every 3 months, which is a bit of a pain in the bottom, I'm going to have to upload, I don't know if it's just receipts or if it's just text-based entries to some kind of online system. The idea is that it makes it easier and less prone to, I don't know, fraud or something, and then at the end of it my accountant can review it and sort it out. But it kind of seems like if I've got to do the nitty-gritty of uploading it, what's the point in having an accountant? How does that sound to you? Does it surprise you that I pay so much tax? Because I think that's quite a lot of tax, really. That's several months worth of income just to the government for well, they haven't done anything actually to help me, have they? I've done all the work and you've watched all the videos, but I wonder if other YouTubers pay the same amount of tax, or whether they evade it in some way. Who knows? Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you to my loyal Patreons who are scrolling down the screen now, especially George Foot, Magnanimous Meg, Jim McCaig, Jennifer Jones, and Ross Carter, who are very generous patrons. Do subscribe if you enjoy my videos, and I shall see you next time for another one.